Everyone has that one box, the one stored away in the attic, the one we promise we'll sort through next year. Inside, it's a graveyard of frozen moments, smiles preserved in Kodak print, radiating an innocence we didn't even realize we had at the time. The date is September 14th, 1998. The location, a sleepy suburban driveway. Look at these four friends smiling at the lens. Look at the fashion, the baggy jeans, the plaid flannel, the backward baseball cap. It's the quintessential 90s afternoon. They're standing in that warm golden light of early evening, right in front of that detached double garage. Hey, we're happy. They were safe. The fifth friend, Mark, is holding the disposable camera. He's telling a joke, trying to get them to crack a genuine smile. And they do. But if they had just looked over their shoulder, if they had just turned around, but they didn't turn around. Mark pressed the shutter button. The flash fired, and then they went about their lives. They had no idea they weren't the only ones in the frame. But some images hide more than nostalgia. They hide secrets. They hide predators. And sometimes, if you look into the negative space, you'll find that the worst memory of your life was captured decades before you even noticed it. This is the picture that tells the story of a neighborhood nice guy, 5 carefree friends, and the lie that was Art and Wiley. There in the background, do you see him? Walking, tall, skinny, always dressed impeccably, even on a warm September evening, in a dark black suit. This was the neighbor. Everyone called him Mr. Red. In a suit, like he was always ready for a formal event, or perhaps a funeral. But that's not all that was back there. Look closely, right here. It looks like a shadow, or a root. But 20 years later, in a higher resolution scan, the shape became undeniable. It was a shoe, a single shoe, sticking up from the soil. The world began to fracture a few days after that picture was developed. The news hit the neighborhood like a physical blow. Leo, a local 16-year-old, had vanished. He had last been seen on September 10th, 4 days before this picture was taken. By the time the friends were laughing in that driveway, Leo had already been missing for nearly 4 days. He was never found. The case went cold. The flyers were taken down. Life, cruelly, moved on. 20 years. Jesse, Sarah, Mike, Tom, and Mark were now in their late 30s. Kids of their own. One afternoon, in the attic, looking through a box, Mark pulled out the picture. He was just trying to remember the good old days. He was just trying to remember who took that specific shot. But he saw it. The increased resolution, the 20 years of space. It finally clicked. The tall figure, the shovel, the shoe, the location. It was exactly where the search parties had looked for days, yet somehow missed. The friends didn't hesitate. They called the local police. The detective was skeptically looking at an old fuzzy picture, but the friends were relentless. They even paid out of pocket for a private forensic archaeology firm. The private team brought in cadaver dogs. The result was instantaneous. The dogs began to bark and scratch exactly where that shoe was visible in the 1998 photograph. Forensics didn't take long. Leo had finally been found. He was buried less than 12 inches beneath the soil, right in that driveway garden path, hidden behind the very hedge these 5 friends stood in front of. Mr. Ray, always in a black suit, the nicest guy. Everyone says so. The mask of suburban perfection. But looking back, no one knew who he really was. Real estate records revealed that Mr. Ray wasn't his name. It was Arden Wiley. Wiley had lived there for 3 years prior to the photograph, and he vanished just 1 year after. He moved away, selling the house and leaving a hidden horror in his wake. In the 20 years that followed, before the friends noticed the truth, that house saw many lies. Real estate history tells a quiet, strange story of ownership. It sat vacant for a full year after Wiley left, silent and cold. Then, a younger couple bought it, filled with energy, living there for a few years, presumably happy. When they left, it was vacant again for another year. A middle-aged couple moved in next, staying for 2 years. Did they ever feel unease when walking up the drive? Since they moved out, the house has sat vacant. For years, only silence has occupied their home. It's as if the house itself resisted being inhabited, repelling the living while keeping the secret of the dead. Leo has been found. The friends know the truth, but Arden Wiley, he has no known location. There was no trace left for the authorities to follow. He is somewhere else now. And somewhere, perhaps in your own attic, a photo is sitting in a box, developed 20 years too late, waiting to tell you who he really is.